I need to think a little bit here, and see if I can remember everything, because it's a hard act to follow. But we're not allowed to talk about politics. We can't talk about your old wrestling career. We can't talk about what you're currently doing. Can't talk about religion, and I don't know. Did I cover
physical
everything?
activity in general?
Can we talk about football then?
Well, we've been talking about football off the air for about 15 minutes. Hell, y'all showed up from Sacramento here to the mean streets of Los Angeles. I got you back. Don't worry about nothing. Your safety.
Yeah, we're pretty nervous, actually.
Dude, I got stuff stashed all over. Y'all are in a safe place. And I was thinking, hey, man, I should text Mark, but I think I'm doing his show, but he might be doing my show. And then all you guys walked in here empty-handed, and I said, well, maybe they was going to do my show, and now I'm doing your show.
Yep, I think you're always running the show. I think that's what the deal is.
Well, we've got 4 guys sitting around with 4 mics, so if we can't come up with something, then there's something wrong with all of us.
Yeah, we should come up with something good.
Dude, you're the gift of gab. You're the big inventor. Come up with something.
I got something. I got
Spin a
something.
yarn.
You've been training for a long time. How long you been lifting for?
Yeah, man, since I was in 5th grade.
Is it hard to still be consistent, or do you still love it?
I still love it, but, consistency is the key. And, man, towards the back end of 2019, I want a mule deer hunting trip with my brother-in-law. And, man, last year I went down there and I was on a don't drink spree. And that caused damn near a permanent rift in our relationship. So this year, doing the right thing, I showed up with the Jack Daniels and 0 Coke because I'm watching calories. But, man, we blew out the back end of 2019 in high fashion. And, God dang it, we was out there at about, 5,000-foot altitude. And I took a mule deer at about 450 yards away. And then we had to go up there and find it. And then, coming to get that thing down, man, I'm used to hunting in South Texas. Well, this isn't a podcast about hunting. I'll get off of it. And people out there start, switching the dial. Hey, you didn't kill nothing, did you? It's hard to eat them when they're alive. So anyway, dude, I'm used to driving up to something in South Texas, throw it in the back, and go back to the house. Man, when you're out there in the mountains, I looked at my brother-in-law because this is the first time I'd done that. I said, man, what's next? He goes, man, I'll go get the buggy and drive it back around. And he goes, you got a belt? I said, nope. He goes, here you go. He took off his belt and gave it to me. I wrapped the belt around that deer's horns and started dragging it down that mountain. And, man, I can tell you, because I'm from South Texas and I live in Los Angeles, I know what 0 foot of sea level is. And when you put me up 5,000, there's a big difference. And that's not even super high. So anyway, man, I'm dragging that damn deer down that mountain. And we'd been on the Jack the day before and the day before that. And the day before that, and I was huffing and puffing. My heart was about to beat out of my chest. I said, God dang. I said, man, you're going to die. And I said, if this is the way I'm going to go down, at least I shot a mule deer on top of a mountain, and now I'm dragging him down. And I didn't go to the store to buy the sumbitch either. And that was, I've been eating on that mule deer ever since, and it was the best hunt I've ever been on. So I'm back in the groove now because I've got a timeline. I've got a date to meet. So I just had a treadmill delivered yesterday. Went down to the Mecca and saw Gold's Gym yesterday, and they told me, hey, man, it's pretty low, frequency down about 1:30 p.m. I walked in about 1:30 p.m., and I thought I was at a discotheque.
Was that inspiring?
Yeah, man, there was people everywhere, and I'm kind of like pretty low key. So I think I'm just going to stay here at the house, do my treadmill. I got a power rack over there, but the consistency is the key. And now I'm back on track. So now I'm weighing and measuring everything again. And it's kind of like a vicious cycle with me. I enjoy life, but I enjoy my fitness too. And sometimes one slides over, and you got to reel it back in and get the fitness back. But I still love training though. I figure, at the very least, I like to be in shape. I like to look good, somewhat. I'm not a bodybuilder, but it just mentally, I feel better when I'm working out.
You are a private guy, and it seems like you like to be at home and stuff like that. And you like to hunt, and you like to, just kind of be amongst some of your friends. And that's kind of a safe spot for you. What's it like, when you turned famous? Was that hard for you, or did you still have your network of friends that you could get around to kind of decompress from some of that?
No, well, it was a long time coming. So, it wasn't like it happened overnight. So it was kind of like you kind of just ease into it, and then it turns into something. And so
it was like 10, 12 years before you're kind of on the map.
You can get caught up in it and you get a big head. And I've seen it happen to many people just because they get on TV. Man, the way my parents raised us, hey man, kept everything on a DL. And when you get dropped on your head and damn near paralyzed, you know, anything can get taken from you. So appreciate it for what it is. But, yeah, man, and I still had my network of people that, you know, when I closed the doors, or when I used to have that ranch down there in South Texas, when I shut that gate, you know, that's my place, and ain't nobody else going to be on that out there. And man, if I don't see another human being other than my wife in 3 months, I'm fine. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because they must get so excited still this day when they see you, because you were fighting for the working man. You know, you're the beer drinking, kick the shit out of the boss guy like that. You were representing a lot of Americans. A lot of people would love to do that. Go to work tomorrow and kick the shit out of their boss.
I'm sure they would, and I got a chance to do it every single time I went to Monday Night Raw. And when I rolled at Monday Night Raw, I mean, a lot of times, I mean, you know, you got to understand life on the road, man. When you're dead dog tired, I mean, you're doing what you love. And, you know, when you're able to do what you love, you know, every single day of the week and get paid for it, man, that's a pretty good feeling. And so a lot of times, you know, when you go to work and when that glass breaks on Monday Night Raw, that's shit's on. You get a chance to go out there and do your thing. I segued off. What was the original question?
Just, you know, you were representing a lot of Americans. And so people were getting super excited when people still, when they see you, they probably get so fired up. Right?
Oh, that's the one I was trying to make. Thank you very much. When I was at Gold's Gym yesterday, you know, they got that muscle man, you know, the Gold's Gym physique. Yeah. And so there's a pedestal that you step on and you put your chin in the thing and take a picture. So I had Rich Menzer take a picture for my Instagram account. And the guys that dropped off my treadmill yesterday, they had to make some adjustments this morning. So they came over this morning and they told me that from the window, a lot of people from the gym were taking pictures of me from behind, taking pictures on the Gold Gym pedestal. And they wouldn't say nothing to me while I was in the gym because they didn't know. Well, I was all camoed out.
Yeah.
Hey, man, is he dangerous? Is he cool, or is he going to stun my ass? No, but everybody's really cool.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, they're probably letting you have your time to yourself. It's workout time, right?
That's surprising, though.
I was just in there just kind of perusing around. I thought I might pick up a piece or two for my gym in Nevada, but I wasn't going to train. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, man. I was talking to the guy that manages that place, and everybody's coming in. And I was like, God dang, man, there's a lot of human beings in here.
Got to be a lot of germs floating around that place.
I know on my equipment, I'm basically about the only guy handling it. So, you know, I'm walking around like, who was that guy, that real big germaphobe who used to have the Purell all the time? Comedian.
Oh, I don't remember.
Anyway,
Purell?
I digress.
Howie Mandel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mandel.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
For the win.
I only know that because I read something where like they put it like a prank on him where like they hypnotized him or something weird, and they had everybody touch him. Ooh. And then he got out of it, and he just like tried to sue everybody or something weird. But yeah, you got to check out Gold's when it's real hot and sweaty and muggy on summer mornings.
Oh,
it's the worst. Like all the bars you touch, as soon as you're done, you're just like, I got like almost like rust.
Everything in there.
Everything there's old. Like everything.
Yeah,
there's
a lot of shit that's really old now.
Yeah.
Even if it ain't old, if it's brand new, there's been a whole bunch of people around. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because those germs ain't embedded in that steel, but there's just a bunch of fresh human beings coming over and grabbing all over it. But I tell you what, it is, and I'm probably just going a little bit overboard about the germs, but I digress. When you go in there and see cats like Nsima over here, you all jacked up, in shape, it's inspiring. So, you know, it's kind of like, it's very motivating. And then when the chick is over there and she's doing 80-pound dumbbell presses, and he's like, all right, I've upped my game a little bit. So I think it helps with intensity.
Yeah, when you're on the road, you know, back in the day, like how much time did you guys have for training, like if at all?
No, we had all kinds of time because you fly into a town or drive into the town the night before. You know where the gym's at because hey, look at this table. And let's just say it's the United States. And so, you know, basically we're always making loops around the United States. So it's the same stuff over and over and over again. So in every city and every little town that the WWE goes to, you know where the gym is. You know where the tanning bed is. You know where where you can get something clean to eat. So you got it all figured out. So in the morning, you know, you go eat, hit the gym, go do your thing, and then hit the building, do it again the next day. So it's actually very easy, although it can be a grind just because you wore out from always working and busting your ass.
What was like one of your favorite things to do? Like you guys would, wrestle in front of the military, and you travel all over the United States and all over the world, really. What was kind of like one of your favorite spots to go to, or favorite things to do?
The lounge in the hotel after the wrestling matches, so we could drink. Being honest with you, there's a lot of guys who, went to the clubs or to the strip clubs. That wasn't my thing. I wasn't making, back in the day, I wasn't making enough money to give anybody my money to do anything. Homie, don't play that. I'm good with my money. I'll just sit here and drink.
Yeah.
So I like to go to the lounge, have a couple cocktails, and then, I ain't driving nowhere to get to my room. And when I first got into business, we started going to Chicago. Man, I went to the Sheds Museum, an aquarium here, stuff like that. But then, all of a sudden you realize, hey, man, I'm in the trenches. I need to just kind of expend my energy doing the things I know I need to do, and then go to the building and apply myself and try to get over. So it was just going to the lounge and not doing too much sightseeing.
When you finished wrestling, was there a time, because right now you might not think it, but you're in really good shape. So was there a period of time where you really got out of shape after being super physically active? Like, did that ever happen, or did you just stay in shape since that point?
No, man, about every deer season in Nsima, man, when we had Broken Skull Ranch, me and my buddy, after every hunt, before every hunt, we drink a couple of Broken Skull Ranch margaritas. You just go, you got a little bit of buzz.
Yeah.
That's straight shooting. And then, probably skin a deer, something like that when you get back. And then, man, we're going to drink IPAs. This is before Broken Skull IPA was born. So we drink IPAs, all night, or get on the jack. And, man, morning come, you get on the tractor, start shredding. And there I had my power rack. I had dumbbells up to 100. I had pretty good setup over there. But, man, them weights, it's like, man, they're kind of just in the way right now. So all of a sudden, you get home after 2.5 months of doing that, and I tell my wife, for some reason, my mirror in Los Angeles looks a lot different than the mirrors I was looking at down there in South Texas, because, man, I was in a triple wide, and them damn mirrors had me in pretty good shape with a V torso and a little bit of abs. I got back to L.A., I was an H, and I didn't have no abs. I was almost an A. And, God dang, you talk about just going to hell in a handbasket real quick. To answer your question, deer season almost all the time because of the way we partied down there. Yeah. And, when you eat a bunch of fried stuff and then you're drinking beer, and, your body's got to eliminate the alcohol first before it does anything to anything else. Yeah. So, when there's so much alcohol in our bodies, everything that we put in basically turned into fat. And that's a true story. But now, on this last season, I let it go a little bit. But when I come back and I'm touching almost 280, that's been a hell of a deer season, because normally I need to walk, or when I'm filming my show, at 245.
You were able to get back into squats. We saw a video that you posted on social media talking about the knee sleeves and stuff like that. That got me fired up. That was really cool. But you were moving around some good weight.
Man, and I was, and then I haven't got a chance to try out those thick knee sleeves that you sent me. Mm-hmm. But right when I started, starting to move a little bit of weight, pretty comfortable, my knees started bothering me again. So I said, dude, is this really a good idea to try to start going heavy again? Because I think I said I wanted to hit a 500 squat or something like that, and I did. But after I started doing it, I was like, okay, along the way, sounds like a good goal,
right?
But is it in my best interest? And at the end of the day, I'm leg heavy to begin with. I haven't trained legs seriously in 20 years. So who gives a shit what I squat? Dude next door don't care, and the person down Walmart don't care, man. But my quads look decent. I never have trained hams. My calves pretty kind of genetic. So nah, dude, I don't know if I'm gonna hit the 500, and I just don't see a reason to, because now what I'm kind of starting to realize is, with having everything repaired from a fusion, C3-4, 2 rotator cuff rebuilds, ACL, PCL put back in, tricep reattached. With all that, when things start going south, it's like, dude, if you really want to keep beating yourself up like you did in the ring, or you want to treat yourself a little bit better. So I'll keep it medium heavy, Mark, and I probably play with 225, but to add any more weight to the bar than that, I think would be detrimental. I'm trying to look 10 to 15 years down the road, because I'm not a long-term planner. Most of my stuff is just day to day. But now that I'm starting to think, hey, dude, if you're feeling like this now, and when I wake up on a 1 to 10 of pain level, I'm not even a 1.
Right.
But why push myself into the threshold of what I do not know?
Is this
And your mindset wasn't that way when you were young, right?
so? That's what I was
No.
going to ask. Like, is this the first time you've actually thought about like 10 to 15 years from right now?
Oh, first time ever.
Yeah.
I think about tomorrow. Well, I'm not thinking about tomorrow yet. I ain't done with today.
Yeah.
And, I've told a story before, like my older brother, Scott, he'll tell you where he's going in 2 years, and he'll tell you how long he's going to be there, where they're going to stay, and what they're going to do. Man, when we used to have that ranch, I'd wake up and tell my wife, I think I'm going to drive to the ranch. That's 1,500 miles away. She said, when you leaving? Wednesday. When you come back? 2 weeks. All right, man, I'd haul ass. And so that's the way I kind of used to live. And I do for the most part still, but now I am looking a bit more long term.
So back when you were, I guess, you were wrestling more, were you weren't thinking long term? Like everything was just like what's in front of you right there and then? That was your mindset?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, it must have been chaotic though too, right? Yeah, there's so much coming at you every single day, right?
Well, I mean, Vince has a long-term plan because he liked to really book a year out, sometimes maybe 2. And then, football, then the wrestling business started picking up and speeding up. And then, he couldn't book as far out. And then the writers came in, so he can't plan that far out, but he likes to plan that way. Me, the way it was going, just trying to get from one thing to the next, you always think, okay, if you get through SummerSlam, you're trying to get to WrestleMania. You get to WrestleMania, trying to get to SummerSlam, like kind of 6-month windows. But, where you're at within a storyline or the framework of the company just depends on what you got going on. And, if you're remaining healthy. Some of the guys were getting beat to shreds back in the day, so you kind of never knew. But, man, long-term plans for me, man, just make it through the next week.
Yeah. You mentioned your parents a little bit earlier about your upbringing. You're about as humble as someone could possibly be for the amount of fame and being the greatest wrestler of all time, in my opinion. What did your parents or maybe your grandparents, what did they instill in you? What do you think was kind of the key factor? Did they have you, did you grow up on a farm? Did they have you working your ass off every day? Or what was expected of you as a kid?
Man, I got, let me see, there's 3 brothers and a sister. My sister's a baby. So there's 5 kids. And every night after dinner, one of us we rotated doing the dishes. And then, we had a vinyl siding house. During the summer, we'd have to wash that damn house. We mowed the yard every week. We took the trash out. I mean, you had to clean up your room. You had to do this, that. We had chores. And if you didn't do your chores, this is back in the day when I was a kid, you got your ass whipped. And my mom and dad did an outstanding job. And I'm not of whooping our ass, of raising us to know right from wrong. And I've done wrong, but they taught us the right way. And if you wasn't going to work for something, you weren't going to get it. And so that's what they instilled in us. And, like I said, man, my mom and dad supported me through everything that I ever did. And they didn't really know what to think of the fact of what I was going to do or how I was going to fare when I got in the business of pro wrestling, but they supported me. But we learned our lesson and we knew to take care of business the way we were supposed to, and that's the way we were raised.
Well, I'd imagine anytime you got off track, it probably, while there's temptations and there's things out there, but it probably didn't feel right because of the way you were raised, right?
Hey man, when something ain't right, or when something's wrong.
Yeah, you feel it inside you a little bit. It's
an unsettling feeling and it's uncomfortable. Like you said, it's inside.
Yeah.
You know what's up. But it's also common sense.
Right.
But God dang, well, I don't want to go into that subject, but no, I just got finished watching that Aaron Hernandez video.
Oh, yeah.
They're kind of spinning the CTE, not
Amazing
spinning
athlete.
it towards the end, but the dude was just a little different.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about sexuality. He was just wired a little bit different, kind of, or, kind of the gangster life or whatever. So it was really interesting. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, he had kind of a life in a fast lane kind of mindset, and then things just, man, what an amazing talent though. He was better than Gronkowski when they were playing together. He was unbelievable.
Man, Gronk is my guy.
Yeah, Gronk's a Hall of Famer now.
But anyway, it was an interesting story.
Yeah,
you guys got to check it out.
Yeah. So, Nsima, do you even know who they're talking about?
I have seen the Netflix documentary clip. I've heard about it a little bit on different podcasts here and there. So, yeah, I know this.
I was
Basically
curious. I don't
involved in
want to leave
two
you
murders,
hanging.
correct? Yeah.
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 So when you were seeing like people going to the strip clubs and doing all this and that, and you're just thinking, you know, like how he was just explaining how like you have like higher morals in that, I guess we'll say. Did you try to like pull anyone away from that, like somebody who might have potential that's like ugh, like man, if you kind of, you know, slow down a little bit.
Yeah, stay over here. Maybe don't mess with that too much.
No, I never tried to do that, and I wouldn't say that my morals were higher than anybody's. I just said I didn't go to strip clubs because I'm too cheap. Don't confuse the two.
Got it. Read between the lines.
Yeah,
I got it. Okay.
Yeah. There was all kinds of things happening in the hotel lounge.
Yeah. Okay.
After the matches. Yeah.
Nice.
Along with that, actually, I guess kind of what Andrew said, but when I was a kid, like I saw like all these guys from the Attitude Era, I wanted physiques like that. Like I wanted to look like those dudes. So that inspired a lot of my training over the time. Now, when I don't know when it is that you realize that you had like the minds of millions of kids, but did that ever affect your decision making going forward, seeing that all these people were looking at you as an example?
No, I was always thinking about what my mom and dad taught me. But
Okay.
again, you know, like I said, man, I made mistakes along the way and I paid for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, in my mind, you know, and some things just happen. You just try to do the best you can and manage, you know, all the situations that you get put in. But, you know, I think you got to live your life for yourself. And it's great to try to inspire others or motivate others and think about others. But, you know, when things are happening, I think you're kind of living for yourself, really.
Yeah.
You know, but that being said, when people have high expectations of you and you have high expectations of yourself and you miss the mark, you're missing the mark.
Is it kind of a relief being, I guess, like you're still in a spotlight, but being out of that large of a spotlight, I guess?
No, I just think that, you know, with life and experience, you know, hopefully you're making better decisions. And, you know, if you touch a frying pan and it burns the shit out of you, you know, maybe when you're younger, you touch it again. But when you get older, hey, man, I don't want to do that fucking frying pan.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
I get exactly what you're saying.
How are you going to plan on resetting yourself? How does this work out? You know, when you're thinking about like, man, I got to get back to training the way that I was. I need to get back on my diet. How do you start over again?
You know, that's a really good question, Mark. I just get up. I don't sleep very much to begin with. I'd like to sleep more than I do, but I don't. So I get up about 4. I don't get out of bed. Well, I'll go make two cups of coffee. I'll drink my coffee. I'll get over here at 5. I'll put an hour in on my cardio, on my treadmill, and then because you guys are coming over, I trained tries this morning, and tonight I'll train back.
You don't even need to tell us. We can see what you trained. Popping right out of your camouflage shirt right there.
Being way too generous. And I'll come back and I'll walk another hour on that treadmill. And not a crazy walk, maybe 3 to 3.4 miles an hour. It's just a be moving walk.
Yeah.
So you're not sedentary. And so I'm busting ass every day of the week, and then I'll pick up the intensity on that cardio as I get more in shape. But because I've been so sedentary, other than damn near losing my life up in those mountains from that altitude, dragging that mule deer down that thing, I'll start picking it up. And I tried something, and I've been on this for about 6 days. I was talking to Ryback, and he was on my podcast just this past week. I don't know when this thing airs, but a few weeks ago, Ryback was on my podcast. And he said that he had been plant-based for about, I think, a month, about a month and a half. And then I'd seen C.T. Fletcher, our mutual friend, announce on Instagram that he had gone all plant-based. And when I saw CT say that, because you know CT, because he was all the double cheeseburgers, and then you're still a meat eater after he got his new heart, and everybody loves CT. And if CT says something, you kind of,
you got to listen up.
Hey, what's he talking about? So I called him, it was right before Christmas, and he was in the mall shopping. And I said, CT, what are you doing? He goes, I'm in the mall shopping. And I said, hey, man, well, what's this story about you being plant-based? He goes, Steve, I feel like $1,000,000. And long story short, he was busy, so we kept it short. I sent him a couple of text messages. I said, you know what? After talking to Ryback, after talking to CT, I said, you know what? Maybe I'll give this a shot. I've done everything else.
Yeah.
Why not give this one a shot? I've done the carnivore, which you're on. I lasted about 4 days on that. And you're kind of, Nsima, you're kind of carnivore right now a little bit.
Yeah, just lower carb. That's it.
Okay, but God dang, man, I was eating so many steaks. When I was starving way back in the day in Tennessee, if you would have told me back in, hey, we're going to sign you up where for 5 meals a day, you're going to eat a big-ass ribeye steak cooked any way you want it, I said, sign me up, because I was starving. But God dang, man, and I cook a pretty good steak, and I was buying good steaks. Yeah. But God dang, man, it's wearing my gums and my teeth out. Yeah. I said, fuck this. So it was almost like everything in moderation. So I said, like, okay, I jump off the deep end in about everything I do. So I'll jump off in the deep end of this and give it a shot. So I don't say I'm plant-based because I drink your protein powder, and that's not a plug because I do. I like the chocolate way better than the vanilla. So I drink protein powder for my protein. I'll eat 2 dozen eggs a day, white egg whites for my other protein, and then tofu, or whatever my wife makes for me, since she's a vegetarian as well and has been for 30 years. Ooh. She knows her way around. But me, looking at X number of calories and wanting to get X number, grams of protein and carbs, they're coming up because you've got to have some carbs to be.
You got to have energy. Yeah.
But because of the lower protein, I'm used to eating close to 350, 360 grams of protein a day. So you back off that and go down to about 250. Yeah. You need to keep your carbs at 300 minimum, and then maybe 80 grams of fat. Yeah. So it's been a real interesting switch. And it was interesting because I wasn't used to getting so much fiber because I'm not a big vegetable guy. But now I'm kind of a vegetable guy because I ain't a whole lot of stuff to
Stomach
eat.
doing okay with all of it?
Well,
it takes a little bit, right?
Those first few days, I was like, first of all, I didn't miss the fact that I wasn't eating meat. And I'm about as caveman carnivore as you can get as far as being a meat eater. So there's nothing I miss about it. And I was actually, to a degree, because I've been doing this so long, as you guys are younger than me, but you've been doing it the same amount of your lifetime as I have. So I've eaten so many goddamn plain grilled chicken breasts, I'm like, I'm really tired of eating plain grilled chicken breasts. Yeah. And then the same thing with the steaks or the lean ground beef, whatever. I said, man, I'll take a break. So I'm doing that right now. Yeah. And I'm too early in to tell you what's going to happen long term, but I don't miss eating meat. And that's interesting because now going back to my mule deer and my antelope that I took last year, now I will eat those when I go back to Nevada because that's where they're at. But I'll kind of eat them as needed, or I'll treat it as a delicacy rather than eating eating meat 6 meals a day. Right. So I'm doing that different, and that's it's been real interesting because most time when I ask plant-based people or vegetarians, I'll ask them from a bodybuilding perspective. And nutrition, as far as what's macros.
Yeah, getting that protein.
Yeah, I said, dude, well, what are you eating to get your protein in? And nobody can tell me. They always come up with some kind of horseshit answer. Right. And so I'm finding out. For me, it's 2 dozen eggs, 2 protein shakes, and all that stuff to be in the mix of 250.
I heard somebody more recently say, one of the biggest mistakes vegetarians ever made was becoming vegan. And I actually kind of agree with that statement because, pushing that far may have been a big mistake. And then people can, on the other side of things, could say the same thing about the carnivore diet as well, making that kind of judgment. But I think what you're talking about brings up a really good point. And this is stuff that people will talk about, Sean Baker and some of these guys that are big proponents of the carnivore diet, and they'll say, well, a lot of the studies on red meat are talking about people that eat a lot of other things. Well, you like to eat a lot of other things because you said everything in moderation. So now it makes sense that you're backing down on the amount of grams of fat that you're taking in and the amount of red meat that you're eating, because it seems to me that it's a fact that red meat can be bad for you in the presence of a lot of other foods. Like, it seems like there's a lot of good evidence, that kind of leans that way. So I was just at a restaurant last night, and I got a ribeye, and I'm eating all this meat, and the chef came over, and my wife and I know the chef, and so we chatted with him a little bit, and he was like, I don't think I could really do that diet because I love carbohydrates. And he's like, and I would worry about my heart. And so that makes sense. Like, if this guy knows that he likes to eat ice cream and brownies here and there, as well as like rice and potatoes and kind of a good, a mixed diet, then yeah, like you might cause more harm than good if you're going to start to add in a lot of meat on top of maybe having some bad habits, or not even bad habits, but just habits that allow you to have a larger expansion of what you eat.
Well, and you were one of the guys before I started this. I thought about you because I've seen you on Instagram.
And you thought about me going, oh, fuck.
Now what's he doing?
Lost somebody else. You lost another.
A sling what?
Oh, man.
He's
Our
got
hunter,
the slingshot too.
this is a hunter is turned into a vegan. I don't understand what's happening.
No, but but you're not afraid to experiment and try
Absolutely.
different things. You like with keto and
Yep.
using carbs and doing the bodybuilding show and changing your diet around, and being a record holding power lifter. So to me, it was just like, hey man, let me do something different. I like kind of being in a comfort zone. Everybody says, hey man, change is. I don't like change. You need to be uncomfortable sometimes. No, I don't. Just to try to make me a better person. No, I'm good. But I decided, hey, let's change it up a little bit.
Yeah, like dunking yourself in cold water or something, right? Like,
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But and I guess technically I would be ovo-lacto because I'll drink milk and I'll eat egg whites and I'll eat egg yellow too, just as far as a little bit of fat. But I'm basically eating egg whites, so I'm not technically vegan or whatever the word is.
Yeah.
I'm new at this, and I'm not doing it because I watched any videos of animals going through a butcher line. I'm just doing it for the hell of it, to try it out, to give it a shot. And if I start eating meat again in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I do. I'm not saying if I've been keto before, carnivore before, high carb or carb cycling before, I'm going to be, I'm going to go back to probably the happy medium when I achieve, the goal that I'm trying to as far as my body composition.
How's the energy levels been?
Everybody will tell you, goddamn, my energy's through the roof. I got great energy. I haven't reached that state yet because like when you go keto flu, and then you get there in your zone, and then you level out and you're good. And so I don't think I've gone through all the changes that I'm going to go through yet, but I can't complain about anything. I'm drinking this coffee with you guys, but just pure energy, or just like you feel dead dog tired, depleted. Right. No, everything so far has been really good. It's just getting over the hump of digestion, all that fiber, but from an energy standpoint, with a little bit of increase in carbs, but not crazy. It'd be
interesting
carbs.
to see if it helps your sleep at all. Because if it helps your sleep, you might be onto something. But you've had trouble with sleep forever, pretty much.
Man, well, I was drinking a cup of coffee last night about 10 p.m. and I just couldn't figure out why can't I sleep. Good Lord. Kristen, is this not decaf? Hello, I've got a problem here. No, man, I used to sleep like a baby when I was like 8 months old because I was a baby. But when I got into the pro wrestling business, and man, your sleep, your circadian rhythm gets all jacked up because of all the time zones over all the late nights, all the drives. So when I come out of wrestling business, that kind of forever changed my sleep pattern. And right now, that's another thing that I'm really trying to hone in on and improve is my sleep. Because, and you guys are high-profile lifters and are in really good shape, but all these guys, especially your elite bodybuilders, they'll say sleep is so key to recovery and recuperation and all that. And not everybody can take, an hour, 2 hour nap in daytime because they ain't got time. Right. And if it's daylight, I can't sleep. Yeah. So if I could get 6 hours uninterrupted, that would be gangbusters for me because I might sleep 2 or 3 hours, wake up, an hour or 30 minutes. I might just be in and out. And like 4 o'clock, I might as well just go ahead and get up, start drinking my coffee to get up and work out because sleep is not easy for me.
How long were you sleeping when you were wrestling? Any idea?
Well, it depends on the night before. Because sometimes
you're performing at a high level and you're going out there and doing those wrestling promos and stuff and hitting all your marks of, what date you're fighting this guy and all that stuff and doing a lot of stuff live. It must have been it's a lot of pressure. I'm sure it's impossible to unwind after you just wrestled The Rock at WrestleMania. That's got to be insane to come down from that. Those
nights kind of stay with you, but anytime you come out of the ring from in front of a crowd like that, or any kind of crowd, when they give you an ovation and you're trying to take them on a ride and they're responding to what you're doing, there's an adrenaline rush, while you're there, and then it's that afterglow, if you will, afterwards, and you're trying to burn that off. And, man, with my act, I started guzzling beers there in the ring. So, I'm just shooting straight with you. I mean, I'd have a little bit of a buzz before I got to the dressing room. And, there's 12-pack of beer in there, too. So, I mean, you kind of start relaxing.
I remember seeing you wrestle The Rock here in Los Angeles, and you just basically got shit-faced in front of everybody. I was like, he drank so much fucking beer on his way to the back. It was like unbelievable. I was like, holy shit. That was
and then
crazy.
didn't you have like a fire hose full of beer, too? Like,
yeah.
That was actual beer?
I think it was in Philly. Yeah.
The Budweiser truck?
Yeah, that's what it
Light
was.
Truck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was the first 30 gallons was beer, and then it turned into water. But, yeah, that was a real deal.
Shit.
So, but, and people say, well, alcohol kind of interrupts your sleep. And people say, well, I'll take a drink or get a drink for, to help me go to sleep.
Right.
I guess it kind of interferes with REM sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, but anyway, it will help you go to sleep. What kind of quality of sleep? Well, because the amounts that, I don't want to say us, because I was drinking, I'd sleep pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say it more like sedates you than you actually fall asleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But sedated sleep versus no sleep, I mean,
Yeah.
which one's better?
Sedated sleep is way better than no sleep.
Yeah,
You start feeling ragged with no sleep.
So like now, like right now, if you drink before bed, or if you don't drink, are you able to sleep well or no? Like, have you tried that?
Yes, and that's a good question. Just because, man, when you're coming off of the deer season that I had, and you're rolling high, you start backing off. If you just go cold turkey, oh, you're going to toss and turn. So no, I'll drink a glass of wine before I go to sleep. And you're talking about a 6-ounce pour.
Okay.
And so let me see, a bottle of wine will last me 3 nights. So.
Okay.
So that's for me. That's like a world record. But see, as I start, going down from the 6 ounces, then I'll end up with 0. But anytime you try to do anything, I can do just about anything cold turkey, but that will interrupt my sleep. So, within the next 5 to 7 days, it will be nothing.
Do you is there a plan to, I guess, lower the amount over time, or not really?
No, you just shorten up the pour a little bit. But yeah, like I said, just in a matter of days, then I won't. You don't need to pacifier anymore. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you just come off of like what I've described, and don't get me wrong, I'm not just killing fifths. I'm just saying when you go from a pretty good amount to 0, and you better have just one drink.
Have you messed around with any intermittent fasting at all?
Man, I tried that back in the day when I was talking to you about it a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it's a real interesting thing. And nutrient timing is really interesting, and I do believe it's a science. I do believe it's a thing.
Yeah, like during the workout mixture you're supposed to take, post-workout, stuff
Man,
you're supposed to take when you wake up and go to bed.
I'm kind of a proponent of, man, if it's a 24-hour cycle, and I know it sets the blood up or gets blood sugars out or whatever, but for me, if I'm steady with everything that I do, and I keep those macros, in the windows that they need to be, I'm good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
Jay Cutler says, don't be fancy, just be consistent.
Yeah.
If you try to be too fancy one way, if you try to fast too much, maybe you're going to end up binging.
You outthink yourself. And, if you're thinking about it so much, you start micromanaging. Hey, dude, if Jay Cutler said that, he knows a thing or two about staying in shape. So I would take that as kind of the gospel.
1,000 grams of carbs
Jesus.
every day.
That was back in the day, probably.
Yeah, when he was getting really big for the stage.
And then
he looks really good transitioning out of
He
that,
looks
man.
awesome. He looks so healthy. Yeah, he looks great.
So just real quick, going back to the drinking and whatnot, but and I think you posted on your Instagram. It was on the I think the AFC Championship when they scored a touchdown. One of the guys, he went up and grabbed 2 drinks and he did the Stone Cold, smashed them and started drinking them. Is it crazy to see your influence still to this day amongst everything that we do in the United
That's a great feeling
States?
doing that, by the way. I think everyone should do that in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Man, that guy, if I'm not mistaken, that was number 72, Eric Fisher for Kansas City Chiefs, and offensive lineman. And when I saw him do that with as many crazy celebrations as those guys got these days, and he got fined $14,000 for that. And, he didn't even drink, he poured it on his helmet. And I was like, golly, you're going to fine that guy $14,000 for that? I was flattered, though. Yeah, to be gone as long as I have been from that business, and for guys, still recognizing and remembering the things that I did, that's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah.
And I know that Travis Kelce and George Kittle.
Yeah.
George Kittle's a huge fan.
That's
yeah.
what I was
guys are
gonna.
tight ends.
Yeah.
And I know they think a lot of me, and Lane Johnson, a couple of those guys. It's really cool to still be able to have an influence, and those guys remember the things that I did, because man, that's a wild bunch of guys. I'm sure it's a good bunch of guys, but that's I love football, and so there are many of the same feelings. And those guys are crazy, big, strong, fast these days, much more so than we were when we were kids. But it's cool.
Yeah. When so Mark and I went to the Niners Vikings playoff game, and they announced George Kittle, and then you hear the do do
Yeah, that's
do
what it comes
do
out
do.
to, yeah.
It was like, oh shit, Stone Cold. Like, and I look up and they replicated your face, on the screen, but it was George Kittle's face.
Yeah.
So it was like
When he makes plays, they do that too.
It was
Makes a
sick.
big play. It's just all the time, pretty much.
because everybody in the crowd they recognized it, and obviously they're all Niner fans, but like those that recognized it were like even more fired up. And I'm just like, God, like, man, Stone Cold's still crushing it, even though he's not here right now, but he's like, your presence is still there.
Every now and then I'll just be watching TV or something, and my Twitter will blow up, and I'm like, man, what'd I do? I didn't even tweet nothing out. And it might be an NBA game or a college game or hockey from NHL, and they'll bust out with the Stone Cold theme. And so, man, all of a sudden I'll get lit up. Okay, I had another sporting event. So, yeah, man, it's cool.
That's great.
I mean, when you can do something and be remembered for it, I mean, if you did something and nobody remembers, well, you didn't do anything to be remembered for. And so if the best I did was to excite people and make people remember me or that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Did you get to see Conor McGregor fight?
Man, all 40 seconds of it. God dang, man. He came in there, and the way that thing went with those left shoulders.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. And I've seen kind of like, I don't even know if John Jones kind of mixed them up, because John Jones is
crazy,
unorthodox, super. I mean, he's probably one of the best, if not the best fighter ever. But for Conor and Conor's a badass as well. For him to come out with that strategy was phenomenal. I've never seen anybody be so effective with that. And Cowboy had 2 knockouts going into that, but be that effective with a shoulder strike with a fighter of Cowboy's caliber.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I thought it was awesome. It reminded me of like George St. Pierre in his prime, because George always had some crazy plan. Remember, he jabbed Diego Sanchez. He jabbed him to death. I've never seen that before or since. He just jabbed him to death. He always had a game plan. He always had a strategy that was going to work, even if the other guy was super talented. So that's what I admired about that fight. I was like, man, he's coming in there. I think he really rocked him with one of them, and I think he got him on the nose. He
broke his nose.
It looked like he did break his nose.
It's like you've seen that,
and then he just literally kicked the shit out of him.
Yeah, you've seen it before in the past, but he's the first person that actually set it up, right? He was the first one to be like, "This is gonna fuck you up," and then bam, sure enough, it did, and he kept going. It's like what just happened?
Maybe he learned that from boxing. Maybe he learned a little bit of that from going against Floyd.
I don't know. Maybe he sat back and watched some fights of other guys and said, "Hey, man,
yeah, you're not leaning on me."
This might work, or who knows? I'll stop even speculating. But God dang, it was the damnedest thing that I've ever seen. And to take out Cowboy, like I said, a fighter of that caliber with that, very effective. Here's the thing: the next fight that he has is going to be exponentially tougher.
Yeah.
And that person will have seen how he used that against Cowboy. So what will they do, and how will that fight go down? Because I know they're talking about Jorge Masvidal or who was the other guy they're throwing in the mix.
That'll be a big money fight right there.
Yeah.
It was not Adesanya.
Is that the same division with Kobe Covington?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
He got messed up, but dude, that guy's badass.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Kamaru Usman's one who
Kamaru Usman.
There it is.
Yes. That dude's badass.
He is.
There's 3 names.
I think also
talent level, and that's jumping up exponentially too. I mean, the UFC fighters are unbelievable. The athleticism that you're starting to see, starting to be pretty crazy.
Man, I was watching UFC 3 or 4 the other day because I was down that
Tank Abbott.
YouTube wormhole.
Dan Severn.
It was Dan Severn versus Shamrock is what I was watching.
Yeah.
And man, how that sport, to your point, has progressed with the MMA background.
Right.
I mean, and all the you got to have some jiu-jitsu. I mean, it behooves you to, but still, wrestling based seems to be better. But you got to turn into a striker, so you can put on a show and have a fight. But god dang, man, it's a light year difference from back in the day.
Do you think you would have ever done UFC?
No, man, I've been asked that a million times, and I always say, yeah, maybe I could have been okay. Because at my best, I was an okay football player that got a football scholarship. I've been knocked out one time by the Undertaker when his head hit the back of his head hit me in the chin.
He gave me nightmares.
I ran into a steel I-beam on a movie set, and that thing didn't take me down. But I don't know if I'd have been worth the shit or not. I'm glad that I found pro wrestling, and I can only maybe surmise that when just winding down for the day. But it's not something that crosses my mind very often.
So in wrestling, they had many different styles, and one of the funniest matches that I remember was you against Kurt Angle when he challenged you to like a wrestling match, right? And then you out wrestled him, which was fantastic. But do you like or dislike that MMA is kind of turning into like everybody's becoming the same fighter? Like you do have to have, a good striking game. You do need to know jiu-jitsu. And you're right. Wrestling as a base seems to be like the perfect base to start with.
It's not as fun as it used to be. Like it was really, it's exciting to watch, but it used to be fun when you're like, all right, this dude knows karate and this guy's like a sumo wrestler and they're going to go at it. That was kind of neat when it was like
Bob
that.
Sapp against, a jiu-jitsu fighter. Like, holy shit, where are we going with this?
Well, man, I just, everybody wants to stand and trade. They want to stand there and bang.
It's exciting, right? That's where the money's at.
It is. But I mean, man, Cowboy had a little bit of wrestling background, and that wrestling background might have helped him.
Yeah.
Rather than stand there, because I think he knew they wanted to just stand there and trade with him. But man, Connor, that dude's he's pretty heavy-handed in my opinion, and he's salty as hell, and he's smart, and he's just savvy. He's a hell of a fighter, and he's awesome. So I don't know. It's interesting. I love MMA. But it's hard for me to speak technically about it because, I don't know it. Like I watch football. I'm a football addict, but I can't really speak X's and O's. But, it's funny because UFC fans are funny because, man, sometimes the fight goes to the ground and it's a great technical fight. Right. And these guys putting on a clinic and they're just kind of canceling each other out. But the crowd starts booing because they want to stand up and see them bang. It's like, come on, man, that's just a hell of a fight.
Yeah. I mean, we're the same. Like, we're not like the fight encyclopedias where like they mention a fight like, oh, that happened on this date or that date. So we're just like you. We just love watching good fights.
Yeah, same. We just talk about 3 cats: Kamaru Usman, Covington, and who's the other guy?
Or
Jorge
Masvidal.
Yeah, I'm sitting. Okay, are they all still in the same weight division? So,
no idea.
I don't know all the divisions.
Yeah,
I just know who fought who.
Yeah,
I think that might have been a big difference for McGregor too, being up a weight class.
He looked great.
Yeah, he physically looked good. He was strong.
He was also like, I don't know if you guys noticed in all the promos leading up to it, he was like really, really nice McGregor. He wasn't being super.
He was a different McGregor.
He was literally a different person. I don't know if that's just an act because he's coming off
inflammatory.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
I just think that maybe on the way to doing his business with Floyd Mayweather, he just kind of like, hey man, I don't need to go to that level. At this level with Cowboy, and maybe it's respect for the Cowboy too, because he's universally kind of respected by all those guys and loved by the fans. It could have been that issue, but I like the way he spins up a fight. But after seeing him go, throwing the dolly in the bus, I don't think you always need to rev up and go 7,000 RPM.
Yeah.
Do you think that he stole Vince McMahon's walk? You see the walk that he was doing,
That is Vince McMahon's walk, because I remember, hell, I was in the ring, when he started inventing that, and then he turned it into what he turned it into. So I think Vince got a trademark on that. But Vince is, he might have started it, but it's kind of like the super kick. you know, back in the day, it was gentleman Chris Adams' move, and then all of a sudden, it's somebody else is using it in a different territory, and it's their move, and then Shawn Michaels start using it very effectively. I've been kicked in the mouth by that so many times. My teeth are still loose. So the super kick ended up being Shawn Michaels. So right now, the Vince McMahon walk is the Conor McGregor walk.
What's something
Nobody invents anything anymore. You know, it's all recycled.
Right, yeah.
Go ahead.
What's something that separates out someone like Vince McMahon from kind of the general population? You know, what's something that you know, what did you see in him, you know, that made him such a driving force and such a successful person?
That's just who he is. Man, God don't like to sleep because he wants to keep working. He's a workaholic. Man, that guy has instincts and vision and drive, and
just keeps coming all
man,
day.
He grew up. You know, some people when they think of Vince McMahon, they think, oh man, this guy, you know, he's just billionaire. You know, he's born on Tobacco Road. You know, he had it rough coming up, and nobody gave him nothing. And he bought the business from his dad, you know, on a leveraged buyout. And, you know, if he missed one payment, you know, everything was gone. Yeah. And then he has the vision. Hey, man, I think he borrowed it from something down there in NWA, WCW, but he maybe it was a Starcade. But anyway, you know, he made the pay-per-view model, you know, what it is or what it was. And I got the network, had the vision for the network. And he had the vision of all the – to answer your question, the guy is just an absolute, extremely intelligent guy with an incredibly high work ethic and a high sense of pride, taking pride in what he's doing and what he's done, and attention to detail.
Yeah, I remember he had just
to answer your question, bottom line, he's different.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like he has a very, very tough mindset. I remember seeing an interview with him, and he talked about getting you know, physically abused by, I think he's like stepdad. Wow. And he said, you know, if you don't kill me, then I win, you know. And it was that, I mean, that is a very tough mindset, and that's a different style of person, you know.
A survivor.
Yeah.
I remember, it was funny because when he got into the business, his dad never wanted him to get into the business, but his dad was having a hard time promoting the town of Bangor, Maine. And his dad told him, if you can go down and promote Bangor and make it a success, I'll let you get in the business. You know, when he got a chance to work with me, you know, he got a chance to get in the ring. And he always wanted to be a wrestler, but his dad wouldn't let him. So, you know, when he took that bump, we was in Memphis at the Pyramid, and he took a bump off the top of the cage onto that desk and damn near broke his back or his neck. And I was like, you know, we didn't go out there and practice that. We didn't rehearse it. I just told him, I said, dude, you want to take that bump? He goes, oh yeah, it'll be fine, Steve. I said, dude, you don't need to take that bump because I'm fine. Dude, we went out there, had the match. You know, he's bleeding, takes the bump, damn near breaks his neck. That's the kind of guy he is. He wants to put on a show and he wants to deliver. And if he's betting on anybody, he's betting on himself. And he's in the entertainment business, so he will go to the end of the world to make sure that the people leave entertained.
You know, you mentioned Vince McMahon and his vision, and like how in the past you didn't think like 10 to 15 in the future, but now you do. So I'm wondering now, you know, you have the podcast, you're doing a bunch of other stuff. 10 to 15 years from now, what do you see? Like, what do you want your mark to be with that? Like, what do you want to be doing now? Or your effect?
I don't know. I haven't thought that far in advance.
I got you.
Yeah. I know that we're working on a place in Nevada, and I'd like to segue out of California in the near future. I'll probably always maintain a place here, but I just know that I want to travel, and about my mark and my legacy. People will remember me for whatever they think of me, and that's the end of that. But as far as me, I want to use out of here and keep doing things. But I want to do some traveling.
Travel, like go all over the place.
No,
type thing,
no,
or
man.
just
I was
U.S.
Dude. I had lunch yesterday with Calvin Klein, and yeah, it was a damnedest thing. Rich Menzer knows him, and so I went down to Gold's and I met him, and we went out to lunch, and he travels a lot, and it was a pleasure meeting that guy. You know, and he's an icon. Yeah, he's about as iconic as it gets. And he's traveling a lot now, or you know, he goes back and forth between, you know, L.A. and New York.
How old is he?
He's probably 77.
Okay.
Super cat, super with it, you know, super savvy. And yeah, I ain't got no plans on leaving the United States. I'm good staying here. My wife wants me to go to Hawaii because I've never been there, and she loves it there. Now, I would jump across the pond and go to Mexico, maybe Cabo or something like that. But I don't want to travel the world. When I say travel, I mean get in my truck and hook up my camper and put my Kawasaki in the back and just go camping 300 or 400 miles, ride around for a couple of days, and go back home. Or just drive around the damn state, or go into Utah. I've always wanted to see a lot more of Utah and drive some of that country. But that's what I mean. I just want to go out there and get in my buggy and ride.
Sacramento is a great place to visit.
Hey, man. Man, that's been an interesting thing about, you know, because we've been in California, or we are in California. I've been here 15 years. When we did Broken Skull Challenge out there in Agua Dulce, we was on, I think, about 180 acres, and it backed up some land I could ride my buggies over there. In Texas, you know, I had 2,000 acres. You know, I had a good area to ride, but it's like riding a rectangle. Man, when you get out in Nevada and you get out some of that public land, it's really interesting because, I mean, you just have thousands of miles to enjoy, and you know, potentially get lost in. Yeah. So it's very refreshing that you see that much of the country, you know, on a four-wheeler and a side-by-side. And that's what relaxes me, and that's what I enjoy, whether I'm thinking about the next greatest thing or thinking about nothing. If I got a wheel in my hand, and, you know, them four wheels, I'm just cruising on a bunch of rocks. Yeah. Man, that's a good damn day.
That's cool.
Yeah. Do you think the WWE will ever be able to produce another Stone Cold, another John Cena, another The Rock, you know, somebody of that, like, stature?
Man, I think it's a combination of, can they produce it, but can that guy come along?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does
that guy exist?
It's a two-way street there. I think the two have to meet in the middle, and that person has to have the talent and the ring ability and the
charisma,
just the crossover and the charisma to relate to, that people can relate to from, you know, a love or hate level, depending on what they are, but ultimately, you know, ending up probably as a babyface, a good guy. I think that person is going to come along one of these days, and I don't know that they're not in the system right now. You know, they could be, but I think the last thing you saw, big like Cena and Brock Lesnar, I mean, he's so legit. You know, like you really try to follow that act. I mean, you know, it remains to be seen. So we'll see, and I hope.
Yeah, I think that it might be tougher at the moment. Just because I think, and it, you know, it could still be this way, but it seemed like a lot of the guys from years ago really ate shit for a long time, and it doesn't seem like there's that process going on. So you might not get as seasoned, you know, you might not get as salty. Like I think you need to be like, you need to shit beat out of you a little bit. You need, like, guys used to go to overseas and wrestle in Japan and Mexico, and they would, you know, wrestle in other spots, and then, you know, going to a promotion and then wrestling in front of 5 people, or having the whole thing canceled and driving 4 hours. Like, I think you might need some of that.
Man, I sure think it helps. I really do. Just paying your dues. And when you got to really draw those people into a building, or you ain't going to make no money, you know, that makes you really try to learn how to pull that emotion from those people and work them, you know, because that's what you're there for. And you can teach someone the moves, but you can't teach nobody, you know, you can't really teach someone how to manipulate the human emotions. And that's when the money is made at an emotional level. And here's a classic example, and I was a case of that, but a better example that I can speak of from afar is Randy Macho Man Savage. Savage was down there in Tennessee, and, you know, he's in IPW or some other stuff, but I remember Savage down in USWA fighting across from Lawler and all those guys, and he was a Macho Man. And when Vince hired him, he'd been in the business at least 8 years, maybe 10, but at least 8. So, and his dad was a wrestler. So when Vince got him, Randy could work his ass off, knew everything about the business, and Vince put the rocket pack on him. But Randy, my point is he paid his dues. He learned the trade inside out, heel, baby, this, that, persona, gimmick, work, promo, and obviously he was a super talented cat. So once you got up to Vince, I mean, my point is not everybody's doing that. And now I don't think you have to go through that, but I do think it helps.
Yeah.
I know, dude, when I first started out, and I was driving a forklift, at a freight dock company, and 2 months after I made my debut, I'd asked Jared, I said, hey, man, when do you think I could start working full-time? Because I want to start wrestling full-time. And he goes, hell, Steve, I think you're ready now. We'll send you down to Memphis in 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, I was driving down there, and, man, I stayed in a shithole hotel called the Congress Inn on Dickerson Pike. It's still there. And with all due respect, it's still a shithole. And the people that ran that hotel back in the day were Shane and Sonny Hall. I'll never forget their names. And I was making $15 or $20 on a good day a night. And we were driving anywhere from $300 to $450, every single night. And so, man, I was starving to death. And they let me pay my rent whenever I had the money. And so, man, when you're paying your dues and you're riding up and down the road and you really need to learn this stuff because you're going to keep starving until you learn it so you can help contribute to bringing those people in, you kind of absorb everything just a little bit more readily, in my opinion, and I'll leave it at that.
That was your first plant-based diet, right? Didn't you just eat potatoes or something, right?
Well, it was proteins and carbs with no fat because I had about 12 cans of tuna and about a 15-pound bag of potatoes. And so I'd eat a can of tuna fish and a potato for breakfast, lunch, and supper.
The Ultimate Warriors talked about that before, too, just eating, like, tuna out of the can, like, day in and day out.
Yeah, so I ran out of tuna. So for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I had it was raw potato, and I just peeled it with my pocket knife. So I was basically carb-based. I was plant-based. I wasn't eating no meat because I couldn't afford it, and I wouldn't let nobody buy me a hamburger because you can't do that.
Right.
So, yeah, man, when you do that, I remember we went to a town that night, and I just washed my clothes on a laundromat.
Potatoes, right? That'd be nuts.
Yeah. I was at the laundromat, and I just washed all my clothes, and my pants are so loose because I lost a lot of weight. And Matt Bourne says to me, God damn, Steve, why don't you wash your clothes? They're all loose. I had put an extra quarter in there to shrink them up tighter than they were. I could pull my pants off without unbuttoning them. That's how loose those things were. We used to call it the Nutrisystem territory because everybody that went there lost weight.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's a shoot.
You mentioned the Randy Savage's ability to, I guess, manipulate emotion. Now, for you, obviously, when we see you, you can tell that you're able to do that. But was that, I guess, always something that you kind of had a gift of? Or did you really have to develop that side of yourself?
Man, I had to learn it because maybe I had it in me, but I had to learn it because, man, in high school, growing up through grade school, I was a shy kid. And I've always hung out by myself anyway. I like being by myself. That ain't got a little bit shy. But I was a shy kid. So, going out there, all of a sudden with a bunch of badass guys that are veterans, you walk into a locker room, I know you're big into soccer. You walk into any kind of place where someone's got 10 or 15 years experience and you walk in with 2 months, the world changes. And it's like, okay, here's what's up. I may be shy, I may be a little bashful, but if I don't get my hands in this and learn how to do it, I ain't gonna mount the hill of beans. So you're either gonna just wilt up and go away, or you're gonna man up, learn the shit, and just go about it. But ask everybody along the way for advice. So that's the way it was for me. I might have had it in me, but I had to learn it and develop it. You've been in the locker room a lot, around a lot of other guys messing around, horsing around. Do you know anything about thigh wars? This guy over here, in his soccer days, is telling us about how they would wrestle each other's leg on each other or something like that. You know anything about any of this?
In case you didn't, already dislike soccer enough, or didn't respect.
I never heard of it.
Yeah, see.
Soccer ain't a thing in South Texas. when I was a kid, we were talking before we hit the microphone record button about soccer and how global it is. And I think it's an amazing sport. And it's not something that I watch on a frequent basis, but those guys or gals are just supreme athletes. And the way they can kick a damn ball with their feet and run along that thing is flat out amazing. And, hey, man, and them some bitches, now they can flop as good as an Oscar winner.
Yeah. That's an art.
But they can be cheap and dirty as hell when they're trying to take somebody out. So I respect it 100%.
Yeah.
I like good old American football, though.
Yeah, no. It is more. I honestly like football is more fun to watch than soccer. I can't deny that. It's way more fun to watch than soccer.
But I'll tell you what, man, when you see like Brazil or England, man, those people, they'll start jumping in those stadiums. Those stadiums are literally about to come down. The whole world is tuned into that. And hell, that one soccer player, when they lost that game a couple years ago, something happened to that guy. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. He was killed.
I don't want to bring it up, but it was like 5 years ago. No, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's how serious they take that shit. You know, field goal kicker misses the clutch kick. Coming back next year probably. You know, he ain't going to get killed.
Yeah, Scott Norwood's still alive.
Yeah.
Even after the Buffalo Bills years ago.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
20, 30 years ago.
The laces were in.
Thanks so much for your time. We always appreciate having you on. You got something else to add?
No. I was going to say thanks for the time. I'm glad you guys came by and saw me, and appreciate the protein powder. I love it. I'm using it daily. And on Instagram, I'm Steve Austin BSR. On Twitter, I'm Steve Austin BSR. And we're going to work here in a couple of months to shoot season 2 of Straight Up Steve Austin for the USA Network, and that'll start dropping in summer. And then every month I have a show called The Broken Skull Sessions, which we film right here. And I talk with a WWE superstar about this, that, or whatever. And it's every month on the WWE Network. So if you don't have a network and you enjoy me or some of the guys that I've been able to talk to, check it out.
You mixing the Broken Skull Ranch IPA with the Slingshot protein?
You talk about a win-win. I love it.
Awesome. That's all the time we got. I'm at Mark Smellybell on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Where can they find you, Andrew?
At I am Andrew Z, but make sure you guys are following the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on Twitter, TikTok, all over the place. Make sure you guys are subscribed, and please rate and review on iTunes. Nsima, where you at?
At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, at Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. And Mark.
Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch y'all later.
And that's Callie. She's my black lab, and she's about to be 3 years old. She just did a run in. You can follow her on Twitter and Instagram. I'm kidding you.
I was like, all right, cool.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.